Hola, buenos dias. This is my first cultural project, so I guess we'll just get started. So, ¿Dónde nace el idioma español? So, where was Spanish born? So, Spanish was born kind of near the Iberian Peninsula in Spain. It was originally, so it's a Romantic language, so it has its roots in Latin, which the Romans spoke because they were in that area. So that's kind of where the initial beginnings of Spanish are born. And going into the second question then, so cuando nace el idioma español, um, when was it born? So, as I said, it's from a Romantic language, so it comes from Latin, which began around 210 BC, was kind of when it started to become recognizable. But modern Spanish started um, around the 9th century. It was from a dialect in the Castilian region, and that's kind of where we get it from now, and that's kind of the main part of Spain as well. Um, so for the third question, ¿por qué muchos países en America Latina hablan español? So how many countries speak Spanish in Latin America? Um, so there's 18 countries that speak Spanish in Latin America. You know, some of the main ones being Argentina, Colombia, Mexico, but a notable exception is Brazil, who speak Portuguese because they were not conquered by the conquistadors, they were conquered by the Portuguese originally when they came to the New World. The fourth question, ¿por qué muchos países, or I'm sorry, excuse me, ¿cuántos países hablan español en el mundo? So how many countries speak Spanish in the world? So there's 21 countries where Spanish is the official language, but there's a lot more like the United States where it's not necessarily like the official language, but there's quite a few people that speak it. So I would say most every country, besides like some of the smaller islands and stuff like that, have some Spanish-speaking population. For the next question, ¿cuántos ¿cuántas lenguas se hablan en el mundo? So how many languages are there in the world? So officially recognized there are 7,117 languages in the world, so about 7,000. But this doesn't also include all the different dialects and different ways that people speak within those languages. So Mexican Spanish is going to sound a lot different from Spanish Spanish. One good example of that is like vosotros. They don't use vosotros very often in Mexican Spanish, but it's pretty well used in Spain. So for the next question, we have ¿Cuántas personas hablan español en el mundo? So how many people speak Spanish in the world? So there are roughly 572 million people in the world that speak Spanish. That includes people that use it as a second language and stuff like that. There's a few less that are native speakers, but roughly 572 million people speak it in some format. Mexico has the highest concentration of them with 120 million Spanish speakers, so that's quite a few. But it's really cool to see. ¿Quiénes hablan español en los Estados Unidos? So about 40 million, so that means how many people speak Spanish in the United States. So about 40 million people speak Spanish in the United States. So that's roughly 13% of the population. The vast majority is Mexican, people of Mexican descent, because it juts right up. And when you have the highest concentration of speakers in the world next to another country, you're likely to get some different groups to come into each country and speak each other's language, which is really cool. Which goes into the last point, es importante estudiar español porque. So it's important to study Spanish, and why. So it's important to study Spanish, especially as Americans, because we're near the country that speaks the most Spanish in the world. I mean, when you're next to Mexico, you're going to run into people that speak Spanish. And that's really cool because the world's becoming more interconnected. So it's really nice to have it just in case, you know, one day you're talking to a friend that may speak Spanish. It's nice to speak in their language. It's important to ask for directions if you're in their countries, because it's a kind thing to do to speak someone's language if you're in their country and not assume that they'll speak English for you. Or if you're doing a business deal, I'm going into the business field, so it's important for me to know Spanish so that I can speak to clients and stuff like that. You know, learning Spanish can open up a whole new world for you. So that's about all I got. Thank you. Hasta mañana. Adios.